Hi, and welcome to Embodied and Beloved Faith, Healing, and the God Who Meets Us in the Body. I'm Shannon, a manual osteopathic therapist, and every day I sit with women who are carrying more than pain in their bodies. Often there's stress, grief, exhaustion, and questions about healing that don't have easy answers. When I say embodied, I mean this, that our faith is not something we live out only in our thoughts or beliefs, but in our nervous system, our breath, our posture, and the stories that our bodies are holding. Our bodies are not separate from our spiritual lives. They are a place where so much of it unfolds. And this podcast is for women who are learning to listen to their bodies with compassion, who are discovering that healing is a process rather than a finish line, and who are coming to trust that God meets us not only in prayer or reflection, but right here within the lived experience of the body. You are embodied, you are beloved, and you are not alone. All right, guys, welcome to episode 2. I'm super pumped. I'm so excited to just dive right into this episode. And I'm also really excited that you're here to join me on this journey. So let's get to it. This episode is all about the different patterns that I have been seeing lately in women's bodies. So I just want to clarify, I'm not going to talk about any specific stories or details. We're just going to be talking about the patterns. And I want to talk about them because I think a lot of women are quietly carrying the same things. So I want to say this right away. This isn't about diagnosing anything or trying to figure yourself out while you're listening. It's just an invitation to notice with curiosity rather than judgment. Because so many women I sit with are carrying things quietly. They're faithful, capable, thoughtful women, and their bodies are doing a lot of work beneath the surface. So today, I want to talk a little bit about women's bodies and what they've been telling me lately, and what might happen if we listened with a bit more kindness. So, one of the most common things, and this is our first pattern, our first theme that we're going to talk about, that I have been noticing is holding or bracing. And this looks like tight jaws, shoulders that never drop, bellies that stay pulled in, and breathing that stays shallow without them even realizing it. So, what I want to say clearly is this kind of holding isn't a problem to fix, and it's not a failure. It's usually a sign of a body that's learned to stay ready for what's next, ready to respond, ready to hold things together. So often we label this as anxiety or stress, and sometimes that is part of it. But many of the women that I work with aren't anxious because they're fragile. They're holding things because they've had to be strong for a long time. When a body has learned that life requires constant attentiveness, whether that's caring for others, navigating uncertainty, or carrying responsibility, it doesn't just let go because we tell it to relax. Letting go requires safety, not instructions. And this is where I see such a connection between the body and faith. Rest doesn't start with trying harder to relax. Have you ever noticed that? Softening happens when a body begins to trust that it's okay to ease its grip, that it doesn't have to hold everything together on its own. And for many women, that trust hasn't been available yet. And that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It means that our bodies have been protecting us the only way that it knows how. So, if you notice holding in your own body, clenching, bracing, staying on guard, I hope you hear this with kindness. Your body isn't being difficult. It's being loyal. It's been showing up for you even when it's hard. And sometimes the most helpful response isn't trying to force relaxation, but simply acknowledging that holding has made sense and gently asking what might help your body feel a little safer now. All right, theme number 2. And this is another thing that I've been noticing a lot lately. And this is exhaustion that rest doesn't fix. Women will tell me they're sleeping, they're taking breaks, they're doing all the right things, and yet they still feel deeply tired. And this kind of exhaustion can be really confusing because it often comes with a lot of self judgment. Thoughts like, why am I still tired? And why can't I bounce back like I used to? And I really want to say this gently. This isn't a sign of laziness or weakness. It's often a sign of a body that's been running on a very high level of output for way too long. And there's a difference between being physically tired and being deeply depleted. Sometimes what's tired isn't just muscles, but it's the whole nervous system. And when a body has spent a long time staying alert, managing stress, or holding responsibility, rest alone doesn't always bring relief right away. The body needs safety before it can feel restored. And this is where a lot of women get discouraged because they try to rest and it doesn't work the way they hoped. And that can make them feel like they're doing something wrong or like they should just try harder. But needing more rest doesn't mean you're weak. Often it means you've been strong for too long. Your body isn't resisting rest. It just hasn't learned yet that it's safe to fully receive it. From a faith perspective, this can feel a little uncomfortable. We talk a lot about rest as something we choose, something we practice, like the solitude practice, for example, or the Sabbath practice. But sometimes rest isn't something that we can force ourselves into. It's something that the body slowly allows as safety returns. So if you're resting but not feeling restored, I hope you hear this with compassion. Your body isn't failing at rest. It may simply be asking for time, patience, and gentleness as it learns it doesn't have to stay on high alert anymore. Our third theme or third pattern is our bodies asking for slowness. And this often comes after our body has gone through holding and exhaustion. And it often comes because the body is trying to recalibrate. This is usually the part that feels the most uncomfortable. Slowing down can feel like giving up, like falling behind, or like admitting we just can't keep the pace we once did. And many women carry a lot of guilt here, especially faithful, capable women who are used to showing up and just pushing through. But when a body asks for slowness, it's rarely asking for less life. It's just asking for a different rhythm, one where it doesn't have to brace so hard or stay so alert all of the time. I've noticed that symptoms often show up right around the moment when pushing through is no longer sustainable. And this is not your body trying to punish you, nor is it a failure, but it's just communication. It's our body saying, I need a little more space or a little more care. I need things to slow down enough for me to feel safe again. And this is where faith can either become heavy or deeply kind. If we believe that God only meets us in our productivity, then slowness is going to feel like a problem. But if we believe that God meets us in the body, then slowness might actually be a place of encounter. When I look at Jesus, I'm struck by how unhurried he was. He noticed bodies. He stopped when someone reached out. He responded to need. Often healing moments were moments of interruption. He didn't care about efficiency. He cared about people. And slowness gives us a chance to notice what we've been carrying. It gives the body time to soften, the nervous system time to settle, and the soul time to catch up. Without slowness, we might keep functioning, but we stop feeling. So if your body is asking you to slow down, I want to say this clearly. That request is not a spiritual failure. It may be an invitation into deeper wisdom, deeper trust, and a more honest way of being human. You are not behind. You're listening, and that matters. So, if we take a step back for a moment and look at all of this together, holding, exhaustion, and the body asking for slowness, we start to notice a pattern. None of these things are problems to fix or failures to correct. They're signals. They're your body's way of saying, hey, I need a little more care right now. I need a little more safety. I need a rhythm that actually works for me. Holding and bracing often shows us where we've been strong for too long, and maybe longer than we realized. Exhaustion tells us that our nervous system is tired and it needs some space to recover. And when the body starts asking for slowness, that's not it giving up. That's our body inviting us into something gentler, into patience, trust, and care. When you put all of this together, it's almost like a language that your body has been speaking for a while now. And the most important thing to know is this: you don't have to understand every word. You don't have to respond perfectly. You don't have to fix anything. You just need to start listening. And this is where faith meets the body in a really beautiful way. And I want to slow down here because so often we think faith is about thinking the right thoughts or saying the right prayers or doing all the right things. But what I've seen over and over again in women's lives and in my own is that faith also happens in the body. It happens in slowing down, in the noticing, in the breathing, in the moments when we let ourselves be honest about what's actually going on instead of just trying to push past it. Listening to your body is, in a very real sense, an act of faith. It's saying, I trust that God is here, even in my fatigue, even in my tension, even in the questions that don't have answers yet. It's choosing to meet yourself where you are instead of racing toward where you think you should be. And the real good news is this: God doesn't wait for you to get it right or to be healed or to have it all figured out before he shows up. God is present right now in the holding, in the exhaustion, and in the pause. The body, in its honesty, can actually become one of the most meaningful places where we experience God's care and his patience and his presence. So instead of seeing your fatigue, your tension, or your need for slowness as a failure, you might begin to see it as a space where God is already at work, gently inviting you to slow down, to listen, and to receive care that isn't earned, but just simply offered. And that's the invitation that I want to leave with you today. Just notice. Take a breath. Be curious about what your body is saying, not as a project to manage or a problem to solve, but as a companion. Your body has been showing up for you all along, and now you get to meet it halfway. So before we finish today, I just want to leave you with a few gentle thoughts. May you feel permission to slow down without guilt or pressure. May you notice your body with kindness, curiosity, and patience, especially the parts that feel tight, tired, or braced. May you trust that the signals your body is giving you aren't failures. They're invitations to pay attention, to rest, and to receive care. May you know that God is present in all of it, in the holding, in the fatigue, and in the moments when you finally allow yourself to soften. Healing doesn't have to be earned. It unfolds in relationship over time and often more gently than we expect. And may you leave this space remembering this: your body is speaking, your spirit is being met, and you are being held right here, right now, exactly as you are. Thank you for listening today. And if anything in this episode resonated with you, I hope you'll share it with another woman who might need to hear the same reminder. And I will meet you again next time.